How's it going, sports fans? You've been caught listening. I'm Philip Diana here, as always, with Vincent Diana, and we are back. Yes, we are finally back, bringing you another episode of Caught Listening to Philip and Vincent Diana. We're very sorry that we haven't been able to, you know, get out there with more episodes. It's been kind of a hectic schedule lately. Vincent, he's been busy. He's doing baseball, high school right now, possibly looking, he might even have some commitments. So we might have a college baseball player on this podcast here in a few short months. Myself as well, I've just been finishing up some local internships. I did KUSI News with the Prep Pigskin Report this past fall, and I am currently with Bally Sports San Diego. So I will be getting to cover some Padres games, something I'm very excited about, as you can tell from my background, a very big Padres fan. But today's episode, we're going to get right into it by starting off reintroducing. How are you doing, Vincent?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. It's great to get back. It's great to be on the show again. And it's going to be great to hear feedback from our viewers and our fans, just to see what they have to say. Hopefully they'll give us a nice warm welcome back to the internet. So looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to getting down to talking about sports.
I am too. And we'll get right into it with the sports topic today. And I think this is a question that I've been certainly messaged about quite a bit, but it's the MLB lockout that's kind of going on right now with Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is kind of in this weird state right now where, it's kind of like we just said, it's a lockout. It's like a freeze. There's nothing going on right now, but we're going to explain that a little bit and maybe help break it down for some of you listeners out there that might be wondering what exactly is going on. So a lockout, and in this case, really all a lockout is owners halt all baseball activities and can literally lock out players from their facilities, which is what is happening right now. Any person that is currently on or listed on the 40-man roster for a major league team is not allowed to be at the facility in any shape or form. But guys that are not on the 40-man roster are allowed to be there. So that's kind of like the minor league guys, the guys that haven't been, given their MLB contracts yet. They're allowed to still work out and be at like facilities like Petco Park and all that. So, but guys like, Mike Clevenger and Eric Hosmer that are on the 40-man roster, they're not going to be able to go down to Petco Park and throw their bullpen and work out with their pitching coach or get their lifts in or anything like that, at least not around the MLB facilities. So that's kind of what's going on right now. And it's kind of coming right now. It's supposed to be a way for the owners to make a push for a new collective bargaining agreement. So that's kind of the issue right now, is the MLB owners and the players union are kind of at a crossroads when it comes to the collective bargaining agreement, which was last signed in 2016. It's every 5 years that they come up with a new collective bargaining agreement. And so this one expired December 2nd of 2021. And they have yet to write and come to a conclusion on a new one that would last, obviously, the next 5 years after that is signed. And really all it is what the owners want is they want to expand the playoffs. That's kind of been the big thing right now, is the owners themselves want to expand the playoffs because, they get the profits. They want the money. They're owners. They make money, and that's their entire goal, is to go out there and monetize their team and the players as much as they can. So expanded playoffs is kind of what they're looking for. They're also kind of looking to keep the salary cheaper for most of these players. We'll talk about that in just a minute when I talk about what the players want. But the owners are trying to, as money makers, you don't want to spend a bunch of money and not get as much in return. So they're trying to make as much money as possible by spending as little as possible on some of the players, so then they can get even bigger returns when they have that success. I.e., look at the Seattle Mariners right now. You can look at the the Moneyball A's, 2001 Moneyball A's. Spend the least amount of money possible to get the result you want. That's kind of what the owners are doing right now, and that's kind of what they're looking to continue. The players, on the other hand, they want bigger salaries. So that's kind of what the why there's a halt right now, is they're butting heads with each other. They can't come to an agreement. The players want bigger salaries. I know we've seen recent years, we just saw Max Scherzer, which we'll talk about in a minute. He signed a big deal. Manny Machado, obviously a big, huge 10-year deal for him. Eric Hosmer. We've been seeing big deals go down, even Bryce Harper, another one, in recent years. But it's not really about those guys that we're talking about. We're talking about more the lower name players, the guys that get called up kind of late in their career. They don't really get to monetize themselves that much because they have to wait that 6 years, and for them, they have to have 6 years of service time before they can become a free agent. And then from there, that's when they can consider getting paid. And by that time, most of the people are already in their early to mid 30s, and no MLB team wants to pay a 35-year-old a hundred, millions of dollars if he's kind of in their eyes seen as washed up. So that's kind of what the lockout is right now. It's basically a butting of heads from the owners and the players, and they're trying to come to an agreement, create a new collective bargaining agreement that they can go forward with, and hopefully maybe be successful with for the next 5 years until the next one needs to be written up. But that's enough for me, Vincent. Let's hear what you got to say. You had some insight on how this is affecting free agency.
Well, yeah, Philip, I was, everything you said, it was just kind of about like how the collective bargaining agreement, MLB is looking to find an agreement. And to be quite honest, as a really avid baseball fan myself, much like you, it's frustrating turning on the TV every day. We can't hear what new free agents are signing. I know there were some that were looking to sign but couldn't sign. Like Freddie Freeman actually was one of them. Right before the collective bargaining agreement expired, he was scheduled to sign, but he couldn't sign because of the lockout. But some players that caught my attention in free agency, this is before the lockout.
This is pre-December 2nd. So for all the listeners out there, the players that we're talking about that have signed, this was all before December 2nd when there was a frenzy of free agent moves. Take it away, Vincent. Let's hear it.
So the ones that caught my attention, and I don't know if you can agree with this, is Corey Seager. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien signing to the Texas Rangers. The Rangers are in rebuild mode. And to be quite honest, I think Corey Seager's a great player, but I think the Rangers completely overpaid for him, in my opinion, because Corey Seager, granted, he has shown good talent over the years. We've seen Moneyball.
We saw him win the 2020 World Series MVP, but I like, to your point, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's worth the money that they're paying him.
Right.
Just like with Eric Hosmer. Yeah. Eric Hosmer is a great player, but the gripe in San Diego here is, when you're making all that money, you're expected to be a superstar. And I'm not too sure Corey Seager, I agree with you there. I don't think he's really that superstar, at least yet. Maybe he'll prove us wrong in the coming years. We'll wait and see about that.
Well, and I think he's going to have a lot of pressure on him being in Texas. Texas has had a lot of back-to-back losing seasons. So I think the pressure's on for him. And to be honest, when you're with the Dodgers surrounded by star power up and down the lineup, it's okay to kind of have a bad game here and there because the rest of your team can pick you up. I mean, with Corey Seager, he had Bellinger behind him, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, some promising prospects like Gavin Lux and Matt Beatty. But in Texas, being like the star player in Texas, it looks very similar to me, like what Eric Hosmer did when he signed in 2018. He was that guy. He was expected to do it, and he didn't really live up to the money he was being paid. So my question was, looks like to me like the Rangers are in rebuild mode right now. And are we finally going to see the Rangers finish in the postseason and finish what they had some unfinished business, finish what they could not finish in 2010 and 2011 back to back? Like, is this going to be the Rangers team that eventually goes down the road to the postseason and gets past the rivaling American League teams?
I don't think they're going to get to the World Series in the next 3 years. I still think they're quite a ways out from that. A good example is, 2019 with the Padres, and many of our listeners on this show, the reason why we reference the Padres is because many of you guys are Padres fans, so you understand the reference we're talking about. In 2019, by that time, the Padres, they had Eric Hosmer already from 2018. 2019, they went out and signed Manny Machado, and it was kind of expected that, oh, okay, the Padres are going to be turning the corner now. 2019 is going to be a good year. They'll probably, if they don't make the wild card, they're going to be finished with an above 500 record. That just wasn't the case at all. It clearly showed that, the Padres still had some holes that they needed to fill, like their starting pitching, which they went out and did in 2020, 2021, same thing. They went out and bolstered that starting rotation. I still think, like I said, with the Padres, with the starting rotation, I still think the Rangers, despite having Seager and Semien there, I still think that starting rotation has some holes in it. They have Jack Leiter, which is a very good addition for them. They just picked him up in this draft out of Vanderbilt, a number 2 overall. Great prospect. That guy can huck it. He can throw it 97, 98, has a nasty curveball, absolutely filthy changeup. But he's going to be a nice pitching guy that they're going to have. He's going to probably anchor that rotation for many years to come. I but even just one pitcher, you need more than that. So I think I'm interested to see. It's a lockout right now, so we're really not able to kind of get a accurate representation of what they're doing back there. But I'd be interested to see him sign a starting pitcher. I mean, there are still some free agent starting pitchers out there on that market, and I'd really want to see, maybe they had their eyes on some people, and they're going to go out, and the Rangers are going to be like, let's go out there and Clayton Kershaw. He's a free agent now, and he was just recently hanging out with Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, and Dak Prescott at the Dallas Mavericks game. So Kershaw's a Texan himself. He likes the state of Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if a Clayton Kershaw came over to the Rangers. That might be a good addition for them. Kershaw teaching Jack Leiter some things, man, that could be dangerous. But I still think they're a couple years away from contending. I think that this is a good step in the right direction for them, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Rangers are in the right path. I think they're eventually going to put their puzzle together, and they're gonna get what they want